Hello there everybody. I thought it was a good idea to show some new stuff that I bought, the first real findings of 2020. It has started pretty good actually. Managed to find some interesting stuff, even if these days in the beginning of the year, January, February, maybe March, is some of the lowest periods when it comes to people giving away records to or stuff to flea markets overall. People don't do that much, so judged by experience from previous years, it is a lower period right now. And then you might remember what kind of low period it was at thrift stores even at the final months of 2019, so it will be interesting to see. But it started actually pretty good actually, so let's get to it. I have a few singles, I have some really nice CDs and a stack of full-length vinyls. So let's start with some Jermaine Jackson from 1985, and I Think It's Love. We have some classic Eurovision Song Contest, Olivia Newton-John, and Long, Long Live Love. This is the 70s by her. We have a single from an album that I have bought 3 times without knowing it. But the single I don't have. Sanne Salomonsen, Hvis du forstod, a summer hit from 1989. Danish singer Sanne Salomonsen, singing in Danish. And I remember back when it came in 1989, I didn't like this song one bit. It was a pretty much Danish music overall in the Swedish hit charts back then. I had no love lost for this one then, but I learned to like it very, very much. Today I think it's a really, really great song. So I'm glad to have this one. This is a classic that most of you know. Anita Ward, Ring My Bell. And Theme from Close Encounters by Miko from 1977 on a single. We have Roman Nights at the B-side. So, singles, let's go to CDs. We have Swedish balladeer and troubadour Sven-Bertil Taube that I actually do like. This is a compilation on 2 CDs with the best songs from 1959 to 2001. Sven-Bertil Taube, mostly famous for singing his father Evert Taube, one of Sweden's most famous singer-songwriters, singing his songs, but also other composers. This one has been a really great month for jazz CDs, and this one I bought yesterday. I had been a little bit hesitating because, as you can see, it's a little part of the CD cover box that are actually not in best shape, but the CDs itself are really, really good. And I'm talking about a box set of 4 CDs with guitarist Jimmy Rainey. It says here, Woody Herman's cool guitar player. And I had little knowledge about Jimmy Rainey. I've heard of him, but that was all. But I had releases before with this label, Quadromania. It is yet another of these low-budget labels that releases really interesting stuff, and in this case it's mostly 4 CD box sets. I have one with Buck Clayton and one with Charlotte Burnett also. And it is very interesting, especially when they're releasing these 4 CD box sets with musicians that I don't see all that much. So it's a very interesting label. And this is then box set with 4 CDs with Jim Rainey, and we have some really interesting names here. We have Phil Woods, we have Stan Getz, we have Kay Winding, we have Red Norvo, we have Sonny Clark, we have Swedish tenor saxophonist Gösta Teselius is here, Red Mitchell, and it is only small band cool jazz. I really love it, and especially I've only listened to one of these CDs yet. I listened to CD 1 this far, and I really loved it. Was the first CD contains some parts with Kay Winding and also with Stan Getz, and I get feelings of Lenny Tristano and Billy Bauer when I hear it, and Lee Kunitz. One of my favorite jazz bands from the 40s and 50s. I get to feel, it sounds almost like that, even if Al Haig, who is the piano player here, is no Lenny Tristano. Is good, but is no Lenny Tristano. So I get the same feeling, and also a couple of songs with Red Norvo vibraphone, Jimmy Rainey guitar, and Red Mitchell bass. And it sounds really, really interesting, even if it is without a drum. So this one I have very high expectations of. I can't believe that I actually hesitated, even if it was a bit overpriced for the quality that the box itself was in. More jazz. We have a couple of Johnny Hodges that I managed to find. Johnny Hodges All-Stars with Duke Ellington All-Stars and Billy Strayhorn All-Stars. This is a prestige release that they have found, that I found a CD copy of, and this is then another one of these Johnny Hodges with smaller bands, and with Ellington in smaller bands. So very interesting. We have also one of Birth's Jazz Masters 35 with Johnny Hodges. Felt it would be wrong to exclude that one. And it is 50s recordings in smaller bands with Ellington musicians. So extremely interesting. Swedish jazz musician Jan Johansson and Arne Domnerus, Younger Than Springtime, 1959 to 61. Real classic. This is released on Dragon, that also is a favorite small label of mine, but it's pure Swedish. They only release Swedish jazz, so it might be a little bit harder for you Americans to find this one. But Dragon Records, owned by Swedish radio personality Lars Westin. So Swedish 50s and early 60s jazz, really interesting. As is this. This is Tony Scott, famous clarinetist, and Rune Överman Trio. And Rune Överman is the father of Roxette producer Clarence Överman. And these are recordings from 1957 on a CD. So it is a clarinet and a piano quartet. And we have Jerry Mulligan and Mulligan. Also 50s recordings. Really interesting. And what about this one? A 2 CD album set with Johnny Hodges and organ player Wild Bill Davis. So this is going to be very interesting. I have some records with them before, but this is a double CD that I found for a very, very nice price. I'm very, very happy with this one. Now we're leaving jazz for a moment. A CD, single or EP I should say, because this contains 5 songs. This is Oasis and their giant hit Wonderwall in 5 song CD. Wonderwall, Round Our Way, To Talk Tonight, Rocking Chair, and a cover of I Am the Walrus, the Beatles. And felt like I must have to my Oasis collection. Swedish rock singer, rock legend, Thåström, as I have shown a couple of times before, and a compilation called Solo Volume 1, 2 CD set with some of the absolute best songs. Missing some though, but it's going to be very, very interesting. And we have a CD version of Eagles' Desperado, in original released in 1973. CDs, and we're moving on to vinyl. We have a couple of Dionne Warwick. Dionne Warwick, Just Being Myself. This is from 1973. And it is also produced by Holland Dozier Holland. Even though this is not a Motown release, it is interesting that Holland Dozier Holland is having such a huge influence on this record. Dionne Warwick on stage and in the movies. This is a Burt Bacharach production mostly. Not that fond of Dionne Warwick and Bacharach. Tends to be a little bit easy listening warning for it, but I think it sounds very great produced anyway, so it's going to be very interesting anyway. So let's go back to jazz. This is a Mercury Jazzmaster release of Rich versus Roach. Buddy Rich versus Max Roach. 2 drummers. And this is recorded in 1959. We have Stanley Turrentine, Nat Turrentine, Phil Woods, some really nice musicians here. Listen to some quick peaks and it sounds interesting, but I hope that it sounds as good as it's the peaks gave information of, because 2 drummers might be a little one too much, but couldn't resist it. Belgian guitar player and harmonica player and whistler Toots Thielemans. I have done a video before with, and these are I think it is 60s recordings. We have some names here like Jimmy Wood bass, and we have some Jan Johansson once again on Hammond organ, Swedish musician here also, and it sounded, I listened to this one, and it sounded sometimes more easy listening than jazz, and it wasn't. It isn't Toots Thielemans' best albums. I'm not going to say that, but it is. It's an okay album, but there are more. They're even better. So I haven't made up my mind yet. I think I will keep it anyway. This one is a little bit interesting. I've seen it dozen times at a thrift store. And I have said that to myself that no, I'm not buying it, because it is a compilation with 3 great, make no mistake about it, one of my absolute favorite pianists, but there are compilation that looks like it was these ordinary It doesn't say anything at all which musicians they are playing with or anything when it was recorded. So I thought to myself that no, I think this one I can pass on. John Bellamy, hi John, showed this one that he bought it, and still I was a little bit doubtful. But now a couple of days ago, a week ago, I made up my mind that I took one more look at it, and I looked at the little text that was here by radio host John Listener, and said that it was one of Oscar Peterson's earlier recordings, and it was some songs that I actually don't think I had before. So I thought, why not? Okay, I give it a chance. Could be fun to have some ordinary songs also. So I bought this one finally. Great jazz pianist of our time, Oscar Peterson, Errol Garner, and Art Tatum, released on Camden. And I also got to say that I think that this cover sleeve is actually really, really nice looking. One of the better sleeves that I have bought in quite a while. Taking a break from jazz again. Soul, 80s soul. A name that I haven't heard that much of, so I had to YouTube her and see her here if it was anyone. It sounds very interesting, so I thought, yeah, why not? This one from 1983 is also produced by Narada Michael Walden, so why not? Stacey Ladislaw and the album 16. As I said, produced by Narada Michael Walden. So 80s soul. And yet another Stacey Ladislaw. This one is from 1985. I'm Not the Same Girl. This is not produced by Narada Michael Walden. It's produced by different kind of producer. But it's going to be very interesting. Bought this one, even though I don't know half of these shows what they are actually. This is, but I am a radio nerd. What can I say? It was I couldn't let it go. Themes like old times, 90 of the most famous original radio themes. And of course these are mostly American shows. And the only one I actually recognized was Superman. And it wasn't much that I actually recognized, but well, we had names that I've heard of, but didn't know what existed as a radio show. But we have Town Hall Tonight, Philco Radio Time, The Lone Ranger, Gunsmoke, Green Hornets, Benny Goodman's Swing School. Never heard of that radio show. Gotta check that out a little bit more. Joe Penner Show, Ed Wynn Show. So different kind of openings and themes. So as a radio nerd, I couldn't resist it, even if it wasn't radio shows that I've listened the most to. Bob Seger and the Silver Bullet Band, Against the Wind, from 1980, I think. Yes, 80. Going to be really interesting. And we have this one. I'm pretty sure that the album is also really good, but I bought it mostly because of the cover sleeve, and the idea. This is originally Swedish singer, musical artist, and personality, Tommy Körberg, one of Sweden's most celebrated singers, singing a Swedish poet Birger Sjöberg and his songs. And I'm pretty sure that is a good, sounds really like a good combination. So the music itself, I'm not going to talk about. I think that might be really, really good. But as you can see, the sleeve says Merry Christmas. Does it give you any Christmas feeling with Christmas tree and Christmas carols. This is some kind of they have bought up the rights to release this album with their own as a commercial or present. This company called IRT System. It's a company that actually comes from the same city as Birger Sjöberg was born in, Vänersborg. But it says Merry Christmas in a almost total black, little depressive sleeve. What's even more interesting is that the music here with Tommy Körberg are spring songs, not Christmas songs. It's titles like Frida i vårstädningen, Frida in the spring cleaning, Släpp fångarna loss, det är vår, Release the prisoners, it's spring. And what about this magnificent Christmas titles? Svartsjukans demon, the demon of the jealousy. Bleka dödens minut, the pale death minute. Doesn't sound like anything that should be on an album called Merry Christmas. So timing. So I felt like I gotta have it, but I don't think I would have gotten it if it wasn't music that I think would be actually good also. Now, finally, we finished with some more jazz. It's easy to find good jazz, obvious, than anything else. We have this Sarah Vaughan and Star Eyes released on Roulette with a string orchestra conducted and arranged by Marty Manning. I listened to this one and it's really relaxing, really great sounding. She sings really, really good. I've hard to imagine that if this would not be in my collection if it was 20 years ago, because then and backwards I didn't like Sarah Vaughan's voice. Today I think it's fantastic, really, really magnificent. What was I thinking? The really relaxing, great album. Really like this one. Highly recommended. And we have this Count Basie, volume 6, 1946 and 1950-51, orchestra and octet. And it sounded most interesting with the 50s octet. And this is also a double album set with 2 albums released on Jazzotech. So there are some big band leaders that I have put the brakes on, because I don't know what I have or not. I don't want to risk to have the same songs over and over again. But with Count Basie, I feel like I constantly find new stuff that I don't have. The man has such a variation when it comes to mixing big bands and small bands and so on. And this one, it's a very interesting release. But the music I think is might be really interesting. This is said the Parker Jam Session. So it's a lot of Charlie Parker released on Verve. The interesting thing here is that this jam session band are playing only on 3 songs on this double LP set. Jam session band is Charlie Shavers, Charlie Parker, Johnny Hodges, Benny Carter. It's such a variation of swing names and bebop names. Oscar Peterson is playing piano on all the tracks, but to have Charlie Parker being the poster musician on an album where he of 12 songs only play on 3. I don't know what's this, why they did that. I know it was a big name, but I mean Oscar Peterson plays on all 12 tracks. Otherwise it is Flip Phillips Sextet and Benny Carter Orchestra. If I understand the lyric here by Alan Morgan, The other songs are more or less fill outs for these three that Charlie Parker is. So it is 3 Charlie Parker, and then it is 9 fill out songs. But then it is also a smaller Benny Carter band. So I think this is really great album, but I wonder how they actually thought when they did the marketing of this album. So that was what I found this time. So that's going to be interesting to see what I will find now furthermore. So until next time, take care everybody, and so long.